वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये अष्टप्रायेष बुधेश नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवते उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 2, verse number 8. Nahi prapsyami mamapanudyad yachokam uchchosanam indriyanam avapya bhumavasapatnam mrudam rajyam suranam api chadipatyam. Word by word. Na, do not. He, certainly, prapsyami, I see, mama, my, apanudyat, can drive away, yet, that which, sokam, lamentation, uchchosanam, drying up, indriyanam, of the senses, vapya, achieving, bhuma, on the earth, asapatnam, without travel, ruddham, prosperous, Rajyam, kingdom, Suranam, of the demigods, Api, even, Cha, also, Adipatyam, supremacy. I can find no means to drive away the grief which is drying up my senses. I will not be able to dispel it, even if I win a prosperous, unrivaled kingdom on earth with sovereignty like the demigods in heaven. Translation purport given by Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Although Arjuna was putting forward so many arguments based on knowledge on the principles of religion and moral codes, it appears that he was unable to solve his real problem without the help of the spiritual master. Lord Sri Krishna, he could understand that his so-called knowledge was useless in driving away his problems, which were drying up his whole existence, and it was impossible for him to solve such perplexities without the help of a spiritual master like Lord Krishna. Academic knowledge, scholarship, high position, etc. are all useless in solving the problems of life. Help can be given only by a spiritual master like Krishna. Therefore, the conclusion is that a spiritual master who is 100% Krishna consciousness is the bona fide spiritual master, for he can solve the problems of life. Lord Chaitanya said that one who is the master in the science of Krishna consciousness, regardless of social position, is the real spiritual master. Kiba vipro kivanyasi sudra kenenaya ye Krishna tattva veta se guru haya. It doesn't matter whether a person is vipra, learned scholar in Vedic wisdom, or is born in lower family, or is in the renounced order of life. If he is a master of the science of Krishna, he is a perfect bona fide spiritual master. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 8.128. So without being a master in the science of Krishna consciousness, no one is bona fide spiritual master. It is also called in the Vedic literatures Satkarma Nipuno Vipra Mantra Tantra Visardaha Avaishnava Guru Vaishnava Swapacho Guru. Scholarly Brahmana, expert in all subjects of Vedic knowledge, is unfit to become a spiritual master without being a Vaishnava or expert in the science of Krishna consciousness. But a person born in a family of lower caste can become a spiritual master if he is a Vaishnava or Krishna consciousness. The problems of material existence, birth, old age, disease and death cannot be countered by accumulation of wealth and economic development. In many parts of the world, there are states which are replete with all facilities of life, which are full of wealth and economically developed. Yet the problems of material existence are still present. They are seeking peace in different ways, but they can achieve real happiness only if they consult Krishna or the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, which constitute the science of Krishna. Though through the bona fide representative of Krishna, the man in Krishna consciousness, if economic development and material comforts could drive away one's lamentation for family, social, national or international inebrities, then Arjuna would not have said that even an unrivaled kingdom on earth or supremacy like that of the demigods in the heavenly realms would be able to drive away his lamentations. He sought therefore refuge in Krishna consciousness, and that is the right path for peace and harmony. Economic development or supremacy over the world can be finished at any moment by the cataclysms of material nature, Even elevation into higher planetary situation, as men are now seeking on the moon planet, can also be finished at one stroke. The Bhagavad Gita confirms this. Sine punya mrityu lokam vishanti. When the results of pious activities are finished, one falls down again from the peak of happiness to the lowest status of life. Many politicians of the world have fallen down in that way. Such downfalls only constitute more causes for lamentation. Therefore, if we want to curb lamentation for good, then we have to take the shelter of Krishna, as Arjuna is seeking to do. So Arjuna asked Krishna to solve this problem definitely, and that is the way of Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. Om Agnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Sarakaya Chakshurunmitamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Supadantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivashadi Gauravatanda Vanchakalpatarabhyasa Krupa Sindhivya Ram Bhavane. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. So as we saw in the 7th sloka, that second chapter, 7th verse, that after putting forth so many religious principles and other pious principles by Arjuna, finally here in this 7th verse, that Arjuna is requesting Krishna, the Supreme Personality of God, Krishna, to guide him or to instruct him about the dharmic activities, whether to fight or not. So he is also requesting that to make him and to accept him as a disciple. He says, Sishyaste ham swadimam tam prapannam. I am surrendering to your lotus feet. Please accept me as a disciple. Now you are not my friend, you are now my spiritual master. So unless or otherwise a disciple surrenders unto the lotus feet of the spiritual master, like how Arjuna surrendered to Krishna, one cannot understand Bhagavad Gita and one cannot surpass this waves of material ocean. So Krishna also says in Gita that if you want to win my external energy, this Maya, material world, Mamevaya prapadante Mayayatam tarantate. He says Maya, it's very difficult to surpass this material world. It's highly impossible. Nobody can. Even a great sages, great devotees, they will also fall down from the highest devotion service if one cannot understand the science of Krishna consciousness through the spiritual, through the lotus mouth of the spiritual master. So one has to surrender, one has to be very humble, and also one has to incur from a spiritual master in taking the humblest position. Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshitri jnanam gnaninam tattvadarshinaha. So one has to approach the spiritual master by taking the humblest position, and he should also surrender, and he should serve him, he should incur him very humbly, because he knows about the absolute. He has seen the truth. That's the point here. He has seen the truth and he knows the science of Krishna consciousness. So in this particular verse, Arjuna, I can find no means to drive away the grief which is drying up my senses. I will not be able to dispel it, even if I win a prosperous unrivaled kingdom on earth with sovereignty like the demigods in heaven. So here Arjuna has come to the consideration that unless or otherwise, if I surrender to the lotus feet of spiritual master, I cannot solve my real problems. So without the help of the spiritual master, one cannot solve our material problems. That is why material problems can be solved only by spiritual solutions or spiritual remedies. So here, the material, the mundane education, the academic education, and the so far or so-called big universities which provides a lot of mundane facilities for the students will not solve the practical real problems of this material life. That is Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi cannot be counteracted by the accumulation of wealth and the economic development. In many parts of the world, there are states which are replete with facilities of life which are full of wealth and economically developed, yet the problems of material existence are still present. So the whole world, all the governments of the countries are trying their level best to solve the problems, to create peace and harmony in the state, but they were unable to do it because there is a lack of spiritualization, and there is a lack of awareness of what are the real problems. So what are the real problems of this society? Because they think the real problem of the society is population, overpopulation, and they think the real problem is conquering the other countries' land or wealth, or exploitation of the neighboring countries, exploitation of the small countries, tiny countries, and deceiving in the border areas, or controlling the other small countries by the superior countries. All this, they think that is the biggest problem. That will always leads to chaos in the society. It creates havoc, and lot of common civilians and common people will have to sacrifice their life and soul for this particular useless disputes between the two countries. So the able leader, the real leader, should know what is the real problem of the society and how best we can solve these problems, the Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi. Then one can be able to lead the country in a prosperous state, in a prosperous position. That is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also says one should be the master in Krishna consciousness. He may be sannyasi, he may be the Vipra, he may be Chaturvedi, he may have the highest academic knowledge, or also he may have Vedic knowledge thoroughly, and if he is also a Vedic scholar, but if one doesn't know the science of Krishna consciousness, then he is not a guru at all. That is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Kiba Vipro, Kiba Nyasi, Sudra Kene Naya, Ye Krishna Tattva Veta, Se Guru Haya. It does not matter whether a person is Vipra or a learned scholar, or is born in lower family, or is a renounced order of life. If he is a master in the science of Krishna, he is the perfect and bona fide spiritual master. So here in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhyalila 8.128, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is mentioning the qualities of a spiritual master and the qualification of the spiritual master. So who can be a spiritual master? So here he says, if he is a sannyasi, if one is sannyasi, if one is Vedic scholar or Vipra, if one is born in a lower family, that doesn't matter. What matters is, if he knows the science of Krishna consciousness, then he is a real. Then we can accept him, or we can call him as a bona fide spiritual master. So one should be the master in science of Krishna consciousness. And also in Padma Purana also it says, Sat karma nipuno vipro mantra tantra visardaha avaishnava guru nasyat vaishnavo swa pacho guru. A scholarly Brahmana, expert in all subjects of Vedic knowledge, is unfit to become a spiritual master without being a Vaishnava. So he may be a Vedic scholar, he may be knowing all sections of Vedic knowledge, he may be very talented, well versed in all Vedas, but if he doesn't become a Vaishnava, then he is not a spiritual master or expert in the science of Krishna consciousness. But person born in a family of a Sudra or a low caste can become a spiritual master if he is very expert in Krishna consciousness or Bhakti Yoga. That's what mentioned in Padma Purana. So, if economic development and material comforts could not drive away one's lamentation for family, social, national, international inabilities, then Arjuna would not have said that even an unrivaled kingdom on earth or supremacy like that of the demigods in the heavenly planets would be unable to drive away his lamentations. So Arjuna is comparing to the demigods also. So even the demigods cannot solve these problems like cannot solve the problem if they will not focus or throw light on these major problems like Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. Unrivaled kingdom on earth or supremacy like that of demigods in the heavenly planets would be unable to drive away his lamentation. He sought therefore refuge. So that's what Arjuna's point is here. Even the demigods also cannot solve these problems, who are in the greater positions appointed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. They cannot drive away one's lamentation for family. If economic development and material comforts could drive away one's lamentations for family, social, national, international, Arjuna would not have said that even unrivaled king on earth. So nowadays people are from so many couple of years, from so many decades, people are trying to go to the moon, planet and the higher planetary systems. But that will not really solve the problems of the everlasting real issues like Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. One can go back to the higher planets, one can be qualified to go to the higher planetary systems, but Krishna says, Chine Punye Mrityu Loka Visanti. So, how greater a person can reach the higher planet systems, but he has to come down to this Mrityu Loka, where even in the higher planetary systems like moon planet, sun planet, not only moon and sun planet, even if it is Satyaloka, the Brahmaloka, the highest planet of for the highest planet in the among 14 planetary systems, there if you go also, even if you reach that Brahmaloka also, one has to come back to this material world. One has to come back to this Mrityu Loka, Bhuloka. So, people may think it's very great achievement, very great establishment, and it's the topmost achievement in the country, where it is unparalleled, unrivaled, and it's matchless. Nobody can do this. Nobody can attain this sort of a great achievement. But even if you go there also, you have to come back to this Mrityu Loka. From Mrityu Loka, there is a platform, or there is a medium to promote to the Vaikuntha planets where there is no birth, death, old age and disease. That's what, if you go to higher planets also, as soon as your account is clear, as soon as account is settled, that your pious activities are over there, then you have to fall down from that particular higher planets to the lowest status of life. Many politicians of the world have fallen down in that way. Such downfalls only constitute more causes for lamentation. So again, it will causes for miseries and lamentation. Go there and come back, what is the use? So instead of that, try for the place where you cannot come back or you cannot fall down. Then there will be no lamentation. So if you want to curb the lamentation of going to the higher planets and falling down from that planet, you have to take the shelter or refuge in the lotus feet of the bona fide spiritual master, like how Arjuna solved his problem by taking refuge in Krishna's lotus feet, and that is the way of Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. Verse number 9. Sanjaya vacha evam uktva rishikesha budakesha parantapaha nayotsya iti govindam uktva tusnim babuvaha. Sanjaya vacha, Sanjaya said, evam tas uktva, speaking, rishikesham unto Krishna, the master of the senses, budakesha, Arjuna, the master of curbing ignorance, parantapaha, the chastiser of the enemies, na yotsye, I shall not fight, iti, thus govindam unto Krishna, the giver of the pleasure to the senses. Uktva, saying, tushnim, silent, babuva, became, ha, certainly. Sanjaya said, having spoken thus, Arjuna, chastiser of enemies, told Krishna, Govinda, I shall not fight, and fell silent. Dhritarashtra must have been very glad to understand that Arjuna was not going to fight, but was instead leaving the battlefield for the begging profession. But Sanjaya disappointed him again in relating that Arjuna was competent to kill his enemies. Although Arjuna was for the time being overwhelmed with false grief due to family affection, he surrendered unto Krishna, the supreme spiritual master, as a disciple. This indicated that he would soon be free from the false lamentation resulting from family affection, and would be enlightened with perfect knowledge of self-realization or Krishna consciousness, and would then surely fight. So the Dhritarashtra's joy would be frustrated, since Arjuna would be enlightened by Krishna and would fight to the end. So there is a beautiful story in Puranas that which I want to narrate now. There was once a king who is Praja Vatsalya. He has that quality of taking care of his subjects in a very good manner. So in those days, the kings used to always come in a disguise and used to wander in each and every village and town of that particular kingdom. So this king Prajavatsalya, who has that quality of Prajavatsalya, came in disguise, and he was roaming around all the streets of his kingdom. He was happened to see some people are busy with their business, doing their business. Some people are busy with doing their administrative activities, and some people are having a very freaky movements and enjoying their time. And some people are doing their own, maintaining their own household business, maintaining their own household works. And some people are busy with, some children are playing in the grounds, and some students are going to colleges, and some people are busy earning money lax together and close together. So all are busy, but no, the king was happened to see that nobody is um, remembering the king or glorifying the king, because all those activities and works done by these people, these different people, or the facilities provided by the king only, but nobody is expressing their gratitude and greatness of and nobody is ready to say a simple term thanks to their king. So king was so much annoyed and he was so much disappointed. So he was about to leave to his kingdom. At that time he saw only one person who is blind, who is also old, and one more thing, he's old, he's blind, and he saw that person who is blind and old person walking in the road. So the king saw this person. Blind old beggar. Yeah, I got it. I recall it. Blind old beggar. So this person is blind and he's become old and is a beggar. So holding a stick, and he was walking in the streets. So the king saw him and inquired about him. Where are you going, my dear blind man? He said. He was holding the stick also. He said, I want to go and meet the king. So the king got stunned. Nobody in my kingdom has even think of once also about me, but this particular fellow, this particular blind old beggar he wants to meet me. How great it is. So he was in disguise. He didn't disclose that he is a king because he is in a disguise. So he said, what you are going to do with the king? And what is the reason you are going, and how you are going to king? You are blind and you have become old, and what plan you have, and how you are going to plan to go and meet the king. He said, just like that I will go from this place, and after some time people may guide me that where there is a king's palace. So God will take care of me. So let me go to my way. So then the king told him, my dear old man, I will take you to the king, but only one condition: you have to throw off that stick. Then I will definitely guide you. I will also take you to the place where king is residing. You can go to the great palace. Then the gentleman, that old man, has questioned why I should throw the stick. So that is the condition, and that is the only condition. Then only I can take you to the king, to the king's palace. Then he said, okay. He threw the stick, and the old man and the king, and he said, the king also said, you have to hold my hand with your two hands. So he holded the king with the two hands, and then the blind man the king was taking him to the king's palace. And once he reached the king's palace, and the king asked him, see, now that you have reached the king's palace, so this is the king's palace. And the blind man was having a doubt, how I can believe you that this is the king's palace, and how can I have a trust that you have brought me to the king's palace. Then the king called his Ayurvedic doctor, Ayurvedic Vaidya, and he asked Ayurvedic doctor to give some medicine so that he can have a vision. So the Ayurvedic doctor brought some medicine, and he just rubbed on his eyes, As soon as he rubbed on his eyes, he saw the beautiful palace bedecked with pearls, bedecked with emeralds, and the palace was so decorated with all gold and ornaments. And he saw the king was very charming, and the king was so looking very beautiful, amazing, marvelous. So he has become very, very, very happy, and he was so joyful. He felt that he is rejuvenating his all these younger incidents, when he was young, what type of enjoyment he received. No, all that he was feeling when his eyes are opened. So from this we can understand that the old man was the blind, means he doesn't have any plan what to do in this material world, how to lead this material world. He is in ignorance, so he's become blind. And the world means every time he's trapped with the repetition of birth and death, So tata dehantara praptir dhirastatram nam hyade 213 Krishna says. So he keeps on taking birth after birth. And also the last one is beggar, means if someone has to be merciful, so he was waiting for the mercy of the Lord. So the king is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who takes the refuge of his subjects, refuge of his devotees, who is remembering Krishna, who is chanting the glories of Krishna's name. Then Krishna will give refuge to him. Krishna will gives a shelter to him. And the stick which is thrown by that blind man is renouncing all his material possessions, renouncing all his material relationships, friendship, bandhavya, everything he has to throw it off. Then only we can chant the holy names of the Lord, or take the refuge of Krishna, who was like how the blind old beggar took the refuge of the particular king. So then the Lord or the king in this story, who has opened his eyes, that means he has brought him from ignorance, so that he can see the real spiritual world, which is always have the nature of eternity, full of bliss and full of knowledge, where he need not get entrapped with the birth and death cycle. And although he was overwhelmed with false grief due to the family affection, he surrendered unto Krishna. So Arjuna was deeply grief-stricken. How I can kill all these relatives, friends, sons, daughter, and cousins, Pitamaha? How I can kill them? So when Krishna gave the knowledge of the science of bhakti yoga or devotion service, or he gave the instructions of Gita, then he was free from this false grief, free from the upadhis, that he is such and such son, he is such and such, he is having so much relationships, and he is having so much connection or attachment towards his fellow beings or his cousins or brothers, like also spiritual master and Pitamaha. So he was so much attached to his families, and also he was having false lamentation, and that would be enlightened with perfect knowledge of self-realization. So then the blind old beggar fell at the lotus feet of the king, and he asked one benediction to the king that, my dear king, please give me permanent place in this place so that I can always glorify you, so that I can always engage in your service at your lotus feet. Then the king gave him the permanent place where he was always engaging in his service, like how a pure devotee in this material world will renounce everything and become 100% Krishna consciousness, so that he can dwell in the place where he can serve his master eternally. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. So here Arjuna is also called, so here in this particular verse, that Dhritarashtra was having a wrong opinion that Arjuna might leave the palace, leave the warfield, and he may go back to the forest for begging. But Sanjaya told, no, that's not the real point here, that's not the real case here. But Arjuna, because of his false pride, he was bewildered and he was lamenting. But Krishna gave him the perfect knowledge, and Arjuna took the refuge of Krishna. So definitely Arjuna is a great warrior, and he will definitely not leave the warfield. He is going to wage a war against the Kauravas, UP, and Dhritarashtra. He told Dhritarashtra. So this indicated that he would be free from the lamentation resulting from family affection, and would be enlightened with perfect knowledge of self-realization or Krishna consciousness, and would know. Then surely Arjuna is going to fight. Thus Dhritarashtra's joy would be frustrated, since Arjuna would be enlightened by Krishna and would fight to the end. So Dhritarashtra was having a wrong idea or wrong attitude that Arjuna may not fight, but Sanjaya said Arjuna is going to fight definitely, because Krishna is making him free from the lamentation and attachment to his families. So definitely he will give the perfect Krishna consciousness. So that's why we also should take the shelter of the spiritual master, the original spiritual master Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.